And we are live. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Mufasa's Daily Book Reading at Noon. My name is Mpom Gwena, and I'm your reader for today. I will be reading the 13th chapter of our book. It's Friday the 13th. We're reading the 13th chapter. So, everything is in alignment clearly. Just before we go into the weekend, we're going to be reading about the empowering voice, releasing passion and talent. We are reading from Stephen R. Covey's The Eighth Habit. And yeah, we've done some readings previous readings, of course, on this book. And you can find all of those in our YouTube channel playlist ready for you to embrace. I hope that you're keeping warm today and that you are going to definitely, I know you're going to definitely enjoy this reading. It's 10 minutes of the chapter. You will also find that in our description of today's live is our information about the coaching practice. So for any coaching inquiries, you'll find our email address there, and also we have a link there of our services, so go on and have a look at those, and I'm definitely sure you will find something for you. 10 minutes is set. Let me start reading. Hello to everyone who's watching this. Let me also greet you. Hello, hello, hello. If you're watching this now, hi. And if you're watching this in the replay, hi. You're going to enjoy this. The empowering voice, releasing passion and talent. The best way to inspire people to a superior performance is to convince them by everything you do and by your everyday attitude that you are wholeheartedly supporting them. Right. So we first tackle a myth. The myth is carrot and sticking. The jackass theory is the best form of motivation. The reality, carrot and stick motivation, is animal psychology. People have the power to choose. You can buy someone's back, but not their heart and mind. You can buy their hands, but not their spirit. And this is a new paradigm. The first alternative to the empowering role of leadership is trying to get results by controlling people. The second alternative would be to set them loose, to abandon them in order to preach empowerment when in fact they really are into abdication and ignoring accountability. The third alternative is both tougher and kinder. It's directed autonomy through win-win agreements around cascading line of sight, goals, and accountability for results. I mentioned earlier that I believe most organizations, including our homes, are overmanaged and underled, because the friction in our relationships with our children is a painful reminder of this reality, as is the rebellion that often ensues. And because the family setting is so universal, I'm going to begin our discussion of the challenge of empowerment with the true story of a friend and partner of mine who, with his wife, worked to overcome a challenge with their children. I noticed a dark cloud forming over my wife one day. So I asked her, "What's wrong?" "I'm so discouraged," she answered. "Mornings with the kids before school are awful. I feel that if I were not here telling them what to do next, nothing would ever happen. They'd never go to school. They'd never get ready. They'd never get out of bed. I don't know what to do." So I decided to observe the next morning. She went into each room starting at about 6:15, gave each child a gentle nudge and said, "Honey, it's time to get up. Wake up." She returned 2 or 3 times until they were well roosed out. Then she turned on the shower for the one who was the toughest getting up. For the next 10 minutes, my wife returned to the shower repeatedly, tapping 3 times on the glass door and said, "Time to get out." "I will," came the defensive answer. Our daughter finally turned off the shower, dried off, went to her bedroom, curled up into a little ball on the floor, and covered her body with the towel to warm up. 10 minutes later, honey, you've got to get dressed. Come on. I don't have anything to wear. I can't imagine. Ooh, wear this. I don't like those clothes. They're ugly. What do you want to wear? My jeans, but they're dirty. The emotional scenario continued until all three were downstairs at 6:45. My wife continued to prod the children from one thing to the next, warning that the carpool would be coming anytime. They finally got out of the door with a hug and a kiss, and mom was exhausted. I was exhausted just having watched her all morning. I thought, no wonder she's miserable. These kids don't know they're capable of anything themselves because we're always there reminding them. That tapping on the shower door became a symbol of how we had both unintentionally enabled their irresponsibility. So I called the family together one evening and suggested a new approach. I've noticed that we are having quite a time with our mornings. Everyone started laughing knowingly. I said, who likes the way things are going? No one raised a hand. So I said, I want to tell you something that I want you to really think about. Here it is. You have within you the power to make choices. You can be responsible. Then I went through a whole series of questions. I asked, how many of you can set an alarm clock yourself and then get up on your own each morning? They all kind of looked at me. Dad, what are you doing? I said, no, really, how many of you can do this? Each raised a hand. How many of you can shower and then turn off the water by yourself? They all raised their hands. How many of you can go into your room, choose the clothes you want, and then get dressed yourself? It was getting to the fun. It was getting to be fun because they all thought, I can do that. If you don't have the clothes you want, how many of you are capable of checking out what clothes you have the night before? And if the clothes you want are dirty, can you do a load of your clothes in the washer and dryer? I can do that. How many of you have the power to make your own bed and get your room cleaned up without being asked or reminded? Everyone raised a hand. How many of you can be downstairs at 6:45 for our family time and breakfast? They all raised their hand. We went on through every single thing. In each case, they agreed, I have the power and capacity to do this. Then I said, okay, what we're going to do is write all this down. We're going to create and agree to a plan for our mornings. They wrote down all the things they wanted to do and worked out a schedule. Our daughter, with whom we were having the greatest struggle, was the most excited. She wrote a schedule down to the very minute. We became the source of help on some things. There were a few guidelines. We decided on how and when they'd be accountable and what the consequences would be. The positive consequences were that everyone would be a lot happier in the morning, especially mom. And we all know that a happy mom means a happy family. The negative consequence to not getting up on time and completing all their responsibilities on their own was that they would go to bed half an hour earlier. They would go to bed half an hour earlier for a few days. This seemed fair, since lack of sleep usually makes it more difficult to get up. Each child signed their agreement, ate a bowl of ice cream, and went off to bed. So we thought, okay, we'll see what happens. This next morning at 6 o'clock, my wife and I were laying in bed. We heard an alarm go off and the lights click on in one of the kids' rooms. Before we knew it, our daughter, with whom we had had the toughest time, ran to the shower, turned on the water, and got in. My wife and I smiled at each other in mild amazement. We had real hopes it would work with her. But 15 minutes early, within 15 or 20 minutes, She had done everything that usually took an hour and a half, and she even had time to get her piano practicing done. We had a great morning. The other kids did the same thing. After the kids were out the door, my wife said, I am in heaven. But the real test is, will it continue? I can see them getting really excited about one morning, but will it go on? Well, it's been over a year now. Though we haven't always had quite the enthusiasm of that first morning, with only occasional exceptions, which were followed by earlier bedtimes for a few days. They've all gotten up and done everything on their own. We've also found it helpful to come together every few months to evaluate how we're doing and to renew our commitment. It's been wonderful to see the children grow in their sense of, I can do this, I have the power, I am responsible. We try not to remind. It's been a profound lesson, and it's totally changed the nature of our family life in the morning. And that concludes today's reading. That was a beautiful story. There's some really nice things there that I gathered that we actually do here at work as well. I mean, they came up with a plan. They obviously saw that there was an issue, a challenge, and they faced the challenge. They took smart action, all right, which we talk a lot about as well in our previous videos. Yeah, and so this is really nice. They had a plan, they followed up with the plan, they evaluate. And if you want to experience something like this for your business, then definitely get into contact with us, because we have an amazing program, really focused on sales growth and social media. So think about this plan and your business and how we can actually help you, carry on the momentum, keep the momentum going in terms of your business mornings. So enjoy the rest of your weekend. Today is officially weekend. So enjoy your weekend, and I'll see you on Monday. Bye.